My favorite fake trade is a little bit bigger than that one. I need to see OG Anunoby on Memphis now. This is where I'm at. I know that part of what Memphis's problem is that they have not yet figured out half court offense more than anything, right? I think more than anything that has to do with like A, Desmond Bane being out a reasonable amount of time, B, Ja Morant still trying to figure things out in general as a half court creator when teams just drop and like go way under him on screens. But I don't really care. Like, I think that this is the kind of player that Memphis has been waiting to hit the market, basically. I think that Memphis has been waiting for like a wing that has potential to create shots at the end of the day. And I think OG has a lower potential to create shots than like maybe what some of their targets are and like what they would hope to be able to get in such a deal. But here's the thing, like when you watch OG, and this before we get to the defense and everything, like OG actually gets to his spots, and he gets to his spots like in isolation situations in Toronto's fucking dog shit offense, which doesn't have any movement and looks miserable unless Scotty Barnes is like screening and then like rolling into the short roll area and like, you know, carving up defense from inside out. But like, they don't run that enough. I feel like I feel like that should be like the hinge point of their offense. And up until recently, it just like was, you know, a fifth option within their offense. They started to run it a little bit more, which is really good. But the thing with OG is that he has no problem getting where he wants. Like if he is like attacking and he puts his shoulder into you and uses that strength because he's 6'8", 230 pounds, 7'3" wingspan, has a super high release point on the shot. He gets where he needs to get to. He gets to his spot. The problem is that he's just a bad pull-up shooter right now. He shoots like 31 or 32% on pull-up shots. And I think it's just because his footwork is not great loading into that pull-up.
His balance is really bad too. I think that's the biggest thing. Like,
yeah, like it's a thing where I think he was never asked to like create pull-ups when he was like super, super young. And like, it's just not there yet in terms of natural talent in that way. But it's gotten better and it keeps getting better over the course of his career. And I feel like there's a real chance that like when he's 27 or 28, he's like a legit pull-up shooter in the mid-range at the very least. Maybe not like from all the way out to 3, but he is super physical and he can get to his spots out of isolation situations. It's just like it's a weight transfer issue as much as anything. It's like a footwork issue. There's so many different trajectories on his pull-up shot. Like sometimes it'll come out super flat. Sometimes it'll be like a fucking moon ball, right? Like but when he gets balanced, he has real touch. So I think that like someone can work with him in the offseason. Memphis's developmental staff is obviously unbelievable. I think there's like some real potential for him to be like a shot creator on the wing that they kind of need. Obviously, like the defense is the big thing. I mean, if you pair him with Jaren Jackson, I mean, what do teams do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're number one in defense after I want to say over the first month before Jaren played, they were like 11th in defense. So like that kind of shift that they've made, I mean, their defense has legitimately been the best in the NBA. Like that, I mean, that's goes without saying. The offense has been the problem recently. And I think to me, it's less even about him being a shot creator. Like I think, yeah, like you can the post ups and stuff. I already like that stuff you can bake in for him that I believe in. I think to me, it's just more about the shooting. Like part of the issue in their half court offense has been their shooting regression as the year has gone on. Like obviously, you know what Desmond Bane brings. He's awesome, but like, what shooter are you uncomfortable dropping off of in their rotation? Even like, I mean, Santi Aldama will punish you sometimes. John Conchar is like an okay shooter. Tyus, to his credit, has shot the leather off the ball this year compared to what we're used to from him in terms of volume and just percentage. But like Zaire Williams' shot hasn't been there. David Roddy's shot hasn't fallen. Like none of the, and it's not that there hasn't been anything good from Williams or Roddy or Laravia, but I don't think that their impact has been like necessarily like they do positive things, but I don't think the impact is necessarily felt positively all the time. So I think part of the issue is like again, like there are teams that are routinely able to put 2 or 3 guys in the paint against Ja. That's been a big problem the last week and a half. Like even like Dylan Brooks, as good as he's been defensively this year, the offense has been kind of a disaster with him. The shot has been gone. The interior shot creation hasn't really been awesome either. And it just isn't super palatable. And I think maybe part of it is just his role. And I don't think Dylan Brooks is comfortable or wants to not be a starter. Like he's a good enough defender where I get it. And I'm not advocating for them to trade him, but I'm just saying, like, I think I look at that and I'm like, okay, if you have OG Anunoby in the other corner or in the slot, like teams are going to care about that. And even if he isn't, getting the, like, even if he's attacking a closeout, I trust OG to attack a closeout and draw a foul, or at least get into the paint and make something happen. And
well, and speaking of that's actually another thing I want to bring up. I feel like very rarely does OG Anunoby actually get to attack a bent defense off the closeout.
Exactly.
Right? Because Toronto's offense just doesn't have that kind of movement. If you have John Morant like breaking down defenders, getting into the paint, and throwing kickouts to OG Anunoby, and defenders are like way off of Anunoby because you just have to be when you have to help off and like try and stop Ja from just living in the paint. That's going to create easier opportunities for Anunoby, I think, to attack closeouts, get to the rim, use his strength, use his physicality, get to the foul line more often. Like, I actually think that it's going to help Anunoby's offense to be in Memphis more than what we've seen from it so far.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And then, like, I mean, to me, exactly like you mentioned, like it's not necessarily adding the other shot creator, but with what that defense is between him and Jaren, and then like obviously like they're going to be playing in lineups with Steven Adams too, like,
and frankly, Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is a great defender.
I do think with salary matching purposes, he probably ends up going back. But
well, here's the thing. Speaking of defense, it'd be one of Dylan Brooks or Danny Green probably, right? And Danny Green is back. Like, we'll see what Danny Green looks like long term, but like Danny Green, I think is still going to be a great defender because like he was always more of a fast brain as opposed to like fast body and athleticism guy. His processing and like the way he thinks about basketball is still going to be there. I would imagine he's still going to be like a super, super impactful, like help defender and super smart. Maybe not as good on ball, but if you're getting OG and, you probably don't need as much on ball defense from someone like Dylan Brooks. So I don't know, man. Like, I think it's a match made in heaven. I also think that the critical thing is that the question around Anunoby for a lot of people is you're going to have to pay OG, right? And if you have a bunch of guys already, are you going to want to pay OG and everyone else?
Yes.
Memphis is one of the richest owners in the NBA. Like Robert Parra is very, very wealthy. And they have sneaky been willing to pay in places that other teams have not been as willing to pay. Like they've been willing to like buy out Andre Iguodala's deal in order to get a first round pick. Like they just like dropped like, 11, I can't remember if it was like 11 or 15 million or whatever it was. They were just like, we will eat that contract. We will take the first round pick. Not a lot of owners do that where they're just like eating dead money. Right. And they've done that multiple times. Like they've just eaten money to be willing to do that. Even though they haven't like had to pay luxury tax yet, I think we've seen enough signs from Robert Parra that he's going to be willing to pay to where I don't think they're going to have a problem paying OG Anunoby. On top of it, Jaren Jackson is on like a killer contract that I would, it really, I think positions them well to do something like this is maybe the way to put it. The other thing here is he fits their age timeline really well. This is a group of dudes that are 22 to 25 years old in John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Santi Aldama, et cetera, right? Everyone like that. These dudes are very competitive and they're all like good dudes and they are all very young. OG Anunoby is 25 years old. He's someone that can grow with this core. They're not just trying to compete like in the next year. They're trying to compete for the next 5 years and trying to open the window as long as they can with this core. I think that he fits really, really well with that.
Yeah, and I think to me too, like I agree that their window is long, but I think they have to think short term to a degree too, because you just never know with this stuff. Like I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but like you never know what happens injury wise. You never know how things are going to work out in your favor or
Yep.
against you. Like, I mean, let's just be being honest with what's happened with Denver. Like I thought the last 2 years, Denver really had an opportunity to be title contenders. And it's not that they weren't, but like, again, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray missing most of that
Yep.
time and really being hurt, that hampers things. Obviously, things have played out really well this year. So I'm not trying to take away from that. But more often than not, like you see title windows crash and
Well,
burn
the
because,
better example is Phoenix.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think
Like,
like,
yeah,
so
Phoenix, it's closed. I don't know if it's closed yet, but like it's closing at the end of this year, probably.
yeah. And I think to me, I view Memphis as a team that is talented enough where they have to be active in making this thing happen. I get that
Yeah.
they really believe in their ability to develop and they should. It's been very well documented and noted, but at the same point, I don't think that you can just quote unquote develop your entire roster into a championship. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that this, and this is not a this generation take, but it's just being realistic and honest. This team has already had the taste of being in the playoffs. Like they've been
Yeah.
there, they've started to make things happen. Like they're ready to a degree. Like I think adding the talent obviously is the next step, but yeah, I think this team very much needs to make a move, and
Yeah.
in a positive way. I don't mean that in like this team. Like regardless, I think they're gonna make noise in the playoffs, but I wouldn't be ready to call them a real like title contender right now without
Yeah.
adding another piece.
Is Zaire Williams, Danny Green, and 2 unprotected first round picks enough for OG Anunoby?
Can you repeat that?
Zaire Williams, Danny Green, or Dylan Brooks, whichever one you want to use for the matching purposes, and 2 unprotected first round picks enough?
I mean, I think it would depend how Toronto feels about Zaire. And I
Yeah.
really like Zaire too. Like I know it hasn't been a perfect year for him, but I like what he does defensively, especially at his size.
Yep.
Um, I still believe in the shot creation potential. That's a really
Yeah.
interesting guy to build around. The issue is I don't know how he fits in what Toronto has right now. I think maybe the
Yep.
future you can view that, but that's on Toronto to figure that out. I think that's you're in ballpark in talking about
Yeah.
what you're needing to give up. Like maybe they see the issue is like I don't know who else they'd even ask for out of that. Like, I mean, if yeah, no, there's yeah,
Well,
that would,
like the 2 guys I like best outside of Zaire are Jake LaRavia and Santi Aldama, based off of what Santi has shown this year.
Santi's been fun. I like Santi
Santi's
a
been
lot.
really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I still am a big believer in Jake LaRavia. Like,
mhm.
I think he is gonna be good. I know that David Roddy is playing. That does not make any sense to me at all. If I could move Roddy, I probably would right now, if I was being completely
Sheesh.
honest. But
Yeah,
I think that I am a little bit lower on David than what some people are. Um, but nonetheless, like Zaire fits a lot of what Toronto looks for typically. Bigger dude, good defensively, need to fix the shot, which is something that Toronto seems to think they can do with mixed results at this point. I don't know. I feel like as a centerpiece in an Anunoby deal, unless you're like trying to star hunt in an Anunoby deal, where like they're trying to go out and like, can you get like Zach Levine or something like that? And then you build around like Levine,
uh,
Scotty, and Siakam or something. I'm just like spitballing here. I'm trying to like find random stars that you could maybe make a case for
yeah.
it. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. It's a very tough one, but I think Zaire 2 unprotected firsts and Dylan Brooks is like in the ballpark for sure. Danny Green, I think that's in the ballpark for sure.
Mhm.